Wow.
Wow. Awesome.
Someone's got an adorable cat background.
Huh.
Hi, I'm Vanessa.
Hi. Hi, Vanessa. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Your
Thanks for
cat
doing
is
this.
beautiful.
Thank you. She's currently raiding the food bowl.
We'll just give it a few more minutes, let everyone else join.
That's a general question. Now, all these women entrepreneurs are members of the chamber, or are they as a group?
Yeah, if you have a Women Entrepreneurs of Berkeley membership, that automatically provides a full chamber membership as well.
It's my tea time, so I'm enjoying my tea. Cheers.
Very nice.
Oh, there we go. We've got somebody else doing the same.
It's that time.
Yeah.
I probably should have made a second cup of coffee, but I'll do that after.
You're looking great, though. And it's always good to see you, Beth.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. So how is the chamber now that you are running it?
It's going well, you know, certainly a lot of transition. Kirsten is certainly missed. She was a really great leader over the last 5 years, and I'm sad I didn't have more time with her. But Andy and I are very excited with our positions and the direction we're trying to take the chamber. So
Yeah, Andy is a very motivated guy, so it's great to see Andy too. Andy?
Yes,
Hi.
Andy is our events director. He orchestrated this entire series with the library, so we're very grateful to him. And he's our Zoom host today.
Because I get the direct billing too. I mean, they send me direct over the years.
Yes. All right, we'll just give it 2 more minutes and then we'll get started.
Actually, we need to, whenever we have these, we need to give them the check-in time a little early, because otherwise they don't know. They start checking in at exact 10. So I
Good
think.
morning, everybody. I'm sorry, I can't show my video. I'm driving over a bridge, but I am listening in. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Tiffany. We're glad you're here. Hopefully you're not in too much traffic.
Just a little bit on the San Rafael.
Okay, okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and get started in just 1 more minute. Welcome to everyone who's here right now. I'm Beth Rossner from Berkeley Chamber. Good morning, Lawrence. Hi, Alex. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. Good morning, Liz. Nice to see you.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. All right, so we'll go ahead and just get started with our introductions as everyone else joins us. Thank you all for being here today. Once again, my name is Beth Rossner. I'm the interim CEO here at Berkeley Chamber, and I want to welcome you all to our first class in a 6-part series on business basics. Thanks to a generous sponsorship by the Berkeley Public Library, we're providing these classes once a month for the next 6 months, and they are free to the public. Today is our first session, and we're going to be focusing on business plans. Before I turn it over to our educator today, I do want to introduce you all to Jeff Findley from the Berkeley Public Library. and he's going to briefly tell us a little bit about the library and some of the resources they have to offer. Jeff, take it away.
Thank you. First off, I wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank the Friends of the Library for making this possible, because they give us the money that allowed us to cooperate with the Chamber. Secondly, I'd like to thank the Chamber and the members of the Chamber for collaborating with us to helping the business community. And lastly, I want to thank the business community for joining us in this. I want to say that the Chamber has some wonderful resources on their website. If you have not checked those out, please do check them out. There are fantastic resources. And I also wanted to say that the library has some fantastic resources that complement these really quite well. You can check us out on berkeleypubliclibrary.org. If you live in California, you can get a library card. You can get one right there online, and you can start using our resources immediately. We have books. This is a library. We have physical books. You can put them on hold and come in and pick them up. We also have tons and tons of ebooks that you can get, and many resources, both for pleasure and for pastime, and also for education, such as what we're going to be covering in this class and the other classes. You can get some really in-depth education resources from, particularly one thing I want to specify is a website that we have called Udemy. It's UDEMY. It's got over 3,500 on-demand video courses taught by world-class instructors. So you could really drill into the details of these things. And they talk about such subjects that might interest us, our business plans, like what we'll be discussing today, HR topics, leadership, management, accounting, financing, marketing, and tons more. That's what I wanted to say, and welcome everyone. This is from the Berkeley Public Library.
Thank you so much, Jeff. So at this point, I would like to turn it over to our business plan expert today, Pete Kremer. Pete will tell us a little bit about himself, and then we'll dive right in. Take it away, Pete.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. First off, let me get the the housekeeping of the Zoom call done with. I'm in a house with kids and 4 dogs, so if you hear barking or a kid runs in here, we'll deal with it. In today's world, that's what we deal with. It's not so bad. But I just want to say thanks for having me. I'm gonna share my screen. I've got a PowerPoint slide deck, and we're gonna go through basically, how to write a business plan and why you need one. So I'll screen share right now and dive in. One sec. We're gonna do that one there. All right. Can you all see my screen now? Okay,
Yep.
cool. All right, perfect. All right, so yeah, why you need a business plan and how to write one. That's what we're talking about today. That's what I do for a living. We're gonna come here, and I'm Pete Kremer. That's me. That's my neat little headshot there. Business consultant, focus on writing business plans for companies to raise funding, usually small businesses or startups, small businesses that are looking to get a bank loan to start their business or grow their business. An existing business has been in business for 2 to 5 years and is looking to grow, or a startup that's looking for an investor-ready business plan to give to an investor, an angel investor or a VC firm, and try and get private funding. I also build functional websites for businesses. It was just kind of a natural progression for me of writing business plans. I had built a few websites back, 13, 14 years ago. And as I was writing business plans and consulting for companies, they said, hey, I really like that website. Can you build me one? And such a huge part of business today is having an online strategy. So I've gone into that as well. I've also written a book, You Make Your Business Plan Unique, because when you are writing your own business plan, it's absolutely imperative to write it about your business. You can't go online and buy a stock business plan and plug and chug the name of your business into it. Nobody will invest in that. No bank, no investors. So this is more of a how-to book that I created for all of the people that do have the time and are trying to write their own business plan because, 13 years ago, this is where I started. And if you stay with us till the end today, I'll give you a copy of the second edition of the book coming out in a couple weeks. I'll release it in a couple weeks when it's completely finished and redlined. I'll post a link on that last slide. And then right after the book, I created Business Plan Mastery, which is an online course that has step-by-step worksheets to help somebody through writing their own business plan. So anyway, just wanted to give you a little background on me. Before we dive in, I just, if I'm talking too fast, hold the brakes, let me know, put something in chat, letting me know that I'm going too fast, slow down. If you want me to go expand on a topic, just let me know. Because, what I do is one-on-one with clients. I'm pretty new to this whole webinar lecture thing. I'm a little nervous, so I might speak too fast. So let's just, we'll roll with it. But anyway, so without further ado, let's dive into what we're gonna learn today, or hopefully learn, or at least talk about. We're gonna cover why you need a business plan, how to write that business plan, and within the why you need a business plan, we're gonna talk about, first off, the 3 types of business plans so that you know what you're writing and why you're writing, what the goal of it is. And then we're gonna talk about 4 truths that I've learned over my 10 years of owning my own business consultancy that kind of resonate throughout all industries. It really doesn't matter which industry you're in. There are 4 truths or constants that I've found. And then we're going to talk about the 6 requirements for getting approved for an SBA loan. That's a small business administration. Spoiler alert, the first requirement is a business plan. So just throwing that out there. And then just gonna really drill down the importance of putting a business plan in writing. Whether you're writing it for yourself or for funding, there's some pretty awesome research of why you should just put it in writing. When we get into how to write the business plan, I'm gonna talk about the business plan life cycle. Sorry, I've got some dogs barking in my left ear over here. And we're going to talk about the life cycle of business plan so that you can see that it really is a living document that's ever changing, that exists in one specific time for one specific purpose. And then we'll get into, from my course, what I've developed is to really conceptualize and make it easy step-by-step is the 3-step business plan process, where we'll talk about the where, the what, and the how. And then we'll talk about the 6 sections that every single business plan must have, and then writing your plan. We'll go back to that business plan, the 3-step business plan process, and really dive into like how to write that plan and how to make it meaningful, impactful for investors. So that's what we're gonna do. Let me see, I don't have, with the screen share now, there we go. Let's see if I can bring up chat just to make sure I'm not missing anything, but okay, we're good there. All right, so let's keep it rolling, right? How we doing? All right, why you need a business plan, because this image is probably what's in most of our brains when we're starting a new business. It's just ideas and ideas and ideas, and at some point you got to get it on paper. So first off, the 3 types of business plans. The first one is the most common. It's what I write almost all the time. It's an investor-ready business plan. This plan is what it's a presentable document that you're going to put in front of somebody for them to decide whether or not it's a good opportunity, a good investment in your company. So the goal is to inform that potential investor or bank, why this investment is an opportunity for them. You're not just telling them, and it's just not just fluffy words on a page. It's why this is an opportunity, and it really is backed by research and financial projections that are backed by the numbers that you found in your industry research and the key assumptions that you're making in your financials. So I mean, this is the number 1. This is the most common. Number 2 is going to be internal. A lot of people write these simply as a benchmarking or a guide for growth. I write these every so often for clients, but this is usually something that is written by the owner of the business or the owner of the startup, just to use as a benchmarking guide for the creation and roadmap for the company. The third type of business is an IPO or going public. This is for a business to insert into a document and go out on the public market and get listed on a stock exchange. This is not the focus of this webinar at all, because if you're writing this type of business plan, number one, you're probably working with a law firm that is doing your registration statement for you, doing your Super 8K or reverse merger for you, or private placement memorandum. So this isn't the focus, but this is one of the types of business plans that, hey, hopefully if you get to that point, when you get to that point, this is another document that you're gonna need. And the goal of this one, it's just inserted into the description of business section of a bigger document, which will then be submitted to the Securities and Exchange Commission, and hopefully then you will either be cleared for registration or cleared for accepting private placement investment. But like I said, this one isn't the focus today. Today, we're going to really focus on how to write a business plan for your investor-ready business plan to go out and get a loan or investment, or an internal roadmap business plan. So speak up. Who's writing a business plan today on this call, and what kind of business plan are you writing? Put it in chat if you want, and if I know that, I'll kind of speak to those points more, and really call out, certain sections that you need to highlight for certain business plans. I mean, I'll touch on it, but if I know, I can go deeper into specifics. And let's dive into like the 4 truths. Over my years, working on landscape construction business plan. Awesome, cool. All right, well, we'll touch on that, and we'll go into it. Are you trying to get a bank loan or investment, or just for your own Aaron, on the 4 truths. So, over my 10 years, the first one for sure is, whether you're looking for a bank loan or private investors or going to a venture capital firm, you need a business plan. The only case where you may not need a business plan is if you're seeking investment from friends and family. That's the only time you don't need a business plan when you're seeking funding. It's just an absolute truth. You have to show somebody that document. Truth 2, small business owners, entrepreneurs, like most on this call, they're highly skilled in a specific area, expertise, and highly driven to succeed. And that's what leads that person, that business owner or entrepreneur, to want to transition from employee to employer in the first place. And then the third is small business owners, entrepreneurs, most often, especially at the beginning, wear far too many hats. You're your own sales rep, your own marketer, your own bookkeeper, your own manager, during our, and this is little time for a new skill, like writing a business plan. So the 4th, there's no single template. Just know this: there's no single template or software on the market that can take all the ideas in your head and then do research into your industry and turn it into a business plan that will go get you funding or have perfect 3 to 5 year projected financials for you. It's just, there's nothing out there. So I just want you to stop Googling and stop the information overload, and just know that it takes time and it takes work. It requires a lot of research into your industry, your target market demographics, looking at numbers from your competition wherever you can find them. I go to Statista a lot. I go to the US Census a lot. But just that is an absolute truth that you know, whether you use Fiverr.com or freelancer.com or Upwork.com, nobody can just take the name of your business and give you a business plan. It just doesn't work that way, because it has to be unique to you and what is the ideas in your head, and it just doesn't exist. And so that's basically the purpose of this course, is to teach you how. So before we get into writing, we're going to talk about the 6 requirements for getting approved by the SBA. And I only bring this up because these are most of the business plans that I write. The Small Business Administration is a government organization that pre-approves loans for banks and then backs part of that loan for the bank, so it's not as high of a risk for them. So, you know, an SBA 7A loan is for a new startup or small business to get funding. A 504 loan is for an existing business to purchase equipment, purchase real estate, things like that. And directly from their website, you'll see the 6 requirements. And like I said, spoiler alert, number 1 is a business plan. And the thing about their 6 requirements is that if you look here at the amount and use of funds, that's included in your business plan. Financial projections, that's one of the biggest parts of your business plan. Industry experience over here, that's included in your business plan. So really 4 out of the 6 of these are included in a business plan. So, I mean, the entire point and the end of this here is to really drill down why you need a business plan. So if you're seeking an SBA loan, it's absolutely imperative. I got a message that I'm breaking up a bit. I apologize. Can you hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me now. Am I breaking up completely? Am I good?
No, you're just slight cutting in and out, but for the most part, we can hear you.
Okay, is it bad? But you can kind of get the gist, or am I talking to myself?
No, we're getting it.
Okay, cool. That's a good thing then. All right, and lastly, on why you need a business plan is just the simple fact of putting it down in writing. The panel study of Entrepreneur Dynamics did a study, and they, based on their research, they found that you are 2.5 times more likely to go into business or even start your business. Even if you don't get funding, you're more likely to start your business if you put your plan in writing than you are than somebody that never wrote a business plan. So just that fact right there, you're 2.5 times more likely to even start your business if you start putting it down in writing and write a business plan. So let's dive in now to how to write a business plan. Anybody have any questions before we dive into writing a business plan? All right, online design magazine, I like that. Cool. Mentorship website, cool. Awesome. All right, we're gonna keep going on how to write a business plan. Postcard subscription sales online. Nice, just starting up. Sweet, so you're like in the idea phase, Jocelyn, that's cool. And so here we go, back into it. Let's talk about the life cycle of a business plan, because you're gonna spend all this time writing a business plan and you're gonna like, well, I have it now. But it's a living document that is ever changing, that, you know, if you're writing it for a bank loan or investors, you're gonna give it to them fresh off the press, right as you're done editing your last detail, because that's the point of the business plan at that time. I'm a super visual guy. I use my hands a lot, obviously, but I'm a visual guy. And so I like to draw pictures and make little notes and everything. And the way I conceptualize the life cycle of the business plan is like this. It's 2 conveyor belts leading into a machine and then spitting out a final business plan. And what you do with that business plan depends on what your goals are, but it all starts with the first conveyor belt, which is all the ideas in your head. Ideas in your head and your current business processes. So if you're already selling a product, or if you're launching a new product, it's, you know, the description of that product, how it's made, who your suppliers are, you have that information already. And so that's number one. It's all the information you bring with you when you decide I'm going to write or edit my business plan. It's all that information. And then number two goes onto the conveyor belt is all the research and financial planning. Based on all that you brought with you on the first conveyor, you have to research new costs, new suppliers, new manufacturing, and take that information and put it into a machine that then puts 1 and 2 together into a finished business plan. And that finished business plan is going to include your 3 to 5 year financial projections, your new description of your market and the target market that you're going after with your new or planned services. And the thing is, what is that machine? And unfortunately, that machine is you. You have to do it. There is no machine. We went through that in the fourth truth. There is no machine that just boop. You can take number 1 and number 2 and spit out a business plan. It's either you or someone like me that, is on the phone with you for a week, learns about your business, and then writes that business plan for you. But you can do this. You can become that machine that takes all of your ideas, all your current business practices, does the research and financial planning, and creates that beautiful document. And we're gonna launch into that soon. As you finish your business plan, it's a wash, rinse, repeat cycle because it's a living document. As markets change, as you have new operating procedures, as you have new staff and employees, you will take that and do new research, new financial planning, and then throw it into that machine, in front of your computer again, and revise your business plan. And that's when you're going to go out and seek, more funding, or you're going to put it in front of your staff and say, hey, are you guys on board with this business plan that we're moving towards right now that you then benchmark off of and use a roadmap for? So that's the life cycle that I really want you to wrap your head around, to know that you're bringing all this with you, and you always have to research what's going on based on what you're bringing with you, and then put that into a cohesive document, and it exists just for that one specific purpose. And then you change it, and then you change it, and you keep changing it as markets change. So we're going to go now into the 3-step business plan process. And this is actually, now that you have the backbone of the life cycle and what the business plan does for you, the writing process that I've developed that hopefully conceptualizes, point A to point B for you, is fairly simple. The where, that's where you are right now, your current status, your company vision, because you already have a vision. That's not a future thing. It will exist in the future, but you have that vision right now. And it's also, it's just the where, exactly where you are now. And then step 2 is the what. What does your business do? You have to explain to an investor. They don't know. They only, from the cover page, they just have the name of your business. So what does your business do? What are your products and services? What industry are you in? That's your industry overview section. What is your target market? That's your target market section. What are your competitors doing? Competitive environment section. What advantages do you have over your competitors? Competitive analysis section. And you'll see, this will make a little more sense on the next slide when I show you what the actual, what my table of contents looks like in one of my business plans. This will make a little more sense, but in the most rudimentary form, it really is just the where, the what, and then the how. That's the crux of the entire business plan. You've told them where you are now. You've told them what you do and what your competition's doing and what industry you're in. Now you basically have to tell them how you're going to get from this your other where, your company vision, how you're going to do that. And that'll be your plan of operations and your growth strategy. And then the how also includes your financial projections that show exactly how you're going to be successful. So it's going to show how you can make an investor money or how you can pay back a loan to a bank. That's the entire point of your financials. Well, and then also to show that you can make money on your own as well and put some money in your pocket and pay your staff and pay your rent and insurance and all that. But really for an investor or a bank, they're looking for, okay, yeah, you'll have enough cash flow to make us money or pay a bank loan back. So like I was saying, hopefully what I've tried to do with the 3-step business plan is take this A to B and make it more like that. The where, the what, the how. It's preparing the step 1, the where, preparing your materials, everything you have in your head, all your business practices you currently have, your standard operating procedures, your employee guidelines, all those things, and then taking it into the first step of really getting your plan going, structuring your plan, which, start your cover page, get your table of contents set, and then write about your company, your current status, how it is now. And then step 2, you go into write about your product and services right now, exactly what you're doing. It doesn't have to be fluffy, doesn't have to be a certain number of pages or number of words. It's about your product and services right now and your planned products and services. And then you're going to do market research, lots and lots of market research, and write about your competition, your industry. Is your industry growing? Is it declining? Where are there holes in the market that you can capitalize on? What is your competition charging? Where do you fit within that competition? Are you a higher price point with more quality, or are you lower? Are you right in the middle and you just have a better marketing plan? That's all from your market research into your industry and competition sections. And then you're going to go into the meat and potatoes of the business plan. This is showing the how to an investor in a bank. This is our plan. This is what we've researched. This is our own methodology. This is our plan to get from point A to point B. And then here are our financial projections based on our plan and based on the industry. And then the last step, which we'll go over briefly at the one of the last slides, is finalizing the plan. That's really just tips and tricks for editing your plan so that it's flawless, formatting your plan, and just tricks that I use that's used in the industry as well to get it really dialed in and presentable. So like I said, the 6, it makes more sense when then you look at the 6 sections that every business plan must have. If you look at the subcategories of these sections, you'll see that this would be a business plan that I would write for my business, right? Because you've got the products and services of the book, business plan course, consulting, and business plan writing. I left out the website stuff for this because it was too long on a page. But the 6 sections: executive summary, company overview, products and services, the industry, I title it, plan of operations, and the financial section. Now, sometimes you don't have to, but for me, most often I add a 7th section called the appendix, because when you're writing sections like the products and services, and say you build a computer, right? There's a lot of moving parts to a computer. You don't have to write all of that in the products and services section. But if there's a very technical, CTO that's an ex-CTO that's reading your business plan, they may want to see that in an appendix. They may want to see exactly how it's made, how it's manufactured, what it's made of. But you don't necessarily have to add that into your products and services section of the business plan. Just pull it out and say, you can learn more about this in appendix 1.1 or something. Anyway, comes back into the 3-step business plan. This is your where section. Company overview, current status, company vision, management, company opportunity. Here's your what section. Products and services, this is what we do and what industry we're in and what our competitive environment looks like. And this is the how. Plan of operations, the financial section. So it really leads up to most investors and most banks will read your executive summary and then turn to the financial section. And then after they look at the financial section, they're going to look at your plan of operations to see if that makes sense compared to your financial section. And if they're interested, they'll read your whole plan. But that's why the how is the absolute crux of the entire business plan. So, blank page, right. How do you write the business plan? We've gone over the sections and the process. So now let's really dive into it. Let's see here we go. The where. So I kind of touched on it very briefly, but the where, prepare your materials is the first step to that. It's the first item. Basically everything, you should have everything organized. If you're an existing business, reach out to your bookkeeper and get your last 3 years financial statements. Get your profit and loss statements from the last 3 years. Then it makes it very easy to do projections because you can project, based on this new product, based on this new service, we project this much revenue, this much net income from it, and then you can just add to your existing. So this is all part of preparing your materials. If you run an online web shop, or let me move up here. If you're in landscape construction, if you've done if you've had previous clients before, take that knowledge and bring it with you to your business plan so that here was my average cost. Here was my average revenue from that client, average costs. Here was my average net value. And that way you have a base to go off of when you're researching, when you're creating your financials, and then also just when you're describing everything else that your current status, your products and services, things like that. So preparing your materials, it depends on where you are in your business. It could take an hour. It could take a week because maybe you have bankers, lawyers, and other people with documents out there. If you have partnership agreements or leasing agreements or anything like that, you want those so that you can describe them in your business plan. And that's just preparing your materials, getting them all in one place so that you can go and not have to have these stopping points when you want to write about something, then go and then you're set back a week because you had to get documents from your bookkeeper, things like that. Prepare everything, or at least as much as you can from the beginning, so that you actually do follow through and write the business plan, because that's the important part. 95% of my clients have tried to write their business plan for 3 months, 6 months, sometimes 3 years, and then finally come to me and say, I just never finished it. And then hire me to write a business plan. So that's why number one for me is preparing your materials. And that really does help. It doesn't ensure, but it helps prevent the stoppage and then I'll get back to it later. You have everything and you're ready to go. And now the next steps in, my three-step business plan process and my how-to book and everything. If you're in front of that and you're ready to do it, you can bang it out and you can do it. Next step in the where is just structuring your business plan. This is a super easy win. I love small wins. Write a section. Write a page, write 2 pages. It's awesome. So knock out your cover page and your table of contents. You started your business plan. You've got 2 pages of a business plan. It's awesome. So your cover page, super simple. Name your company, write business plan in big letters, write the month and the year that you wrote it. Put your name, your email, your address, and your phone number on it. If you are going to send it to investors, you'll want to add a disclaimer at the bottom saying this is not an offer to sell securities. You know, this is just a business plan for this company. If you email me after this, I can give you little disclaimers and stuff like that. Or if you want the free copy of the book after this, I have all of that in the book. But anyway, structuring your business plan, table of contents. If you go back up a couple slides, that's as easy as cut and paste mine, and then put in your products and services for the subsections of the products and services. And then the third part of the where, and this you can write right now, is write your company overview. Where are you right now? It shouldn't be fluffy, and it shouldn't be overthought and have all of these buzzword. It should be truthfully where you are now. If you're in the idea phase, of postcard of art, postcard subscription sales, say that you're in the idea phase, and say that this is a brand new startup and we have done this, and this so far. So writing your company overview, the current status, you can knock that out super fast because it just should be truthful. It can be 3 sentences, it can be 12 paragraphs, but it's just about your current status in your business. Company vision, you should be able to knock that out right now as well, because that's where you want to be. If you've researched, other markets already and your vision for the company, it doesn't even necessarily need any research, but where do you see your company going based on your products and services? What do you see your planned growth? And then your management section, that's you most of the time. If you have a current management staff and CEO, COO, only the executive positions is what you want to include in this section. Now, if you are a larger business and you have other key personnel, like say you do have a dedicated bank and banker that really helps you with your business, or you have a bookkeeper that does a lot of your billing and things like that, or a law firm that does agreements for you. If you have key personnel like that, this doesn't go into your management section, then you would need that 7th section, the appendix, and you would put all of those people into a key personnel appendix. So that's the where, though. It's bringing your materials with you, structuring your plan, and then writing the stuff that you already know about. And you've got 5, 6, 7 pages of your business plan done, and it's awesome, and you're on your way. But the key is don't stop there. Take a little break and write about your products and services next. Go grab another cup of coffee, write about your products and services, because this should also be known to you right now. Even if you haven't launched your products and services, not necessarily, but if you're writing a business plan, you've probably thought about how you want it to look, how you want to distribute it, who the customers are. So you can really crank out the products and services without going into the research yet. A very, very important part in this is, I have it here, to be benefit driven rather than feature driven. Here's an example. So everything has features, right? This pen has a little hang on to your shirt pocket clip. That's a feature. But our computers have fast processors. That's a feature, the fast processor. But a benefit statement is the faster processors in our computers allow our machines to produce twice the output in the same amount of time as competing machines. That's the benefit. So you want to, when you're describing your products and services, you want to have knowledge of your competition and how your competition and your market and how your products and services are different and how they benefit the market and benefit the people, so that an investor can then see, oh yeah, this is an awesome product. This is an awesome service. So that's just a very important thing when you go and you sit down to write your products and services. Also, the next part of the what? Oh, I wanted this. I thought this slide was coming up. Sorry, forgot. In the products and services. So look at according to Statista, there were 77,724 pizza restaurants in the United States in 2019. What makes your pizza restaurant different? That's what you want to convey in your products and services. How is your pizza better or benefiting your customers more than the other 77,724 of them, if you're about to be the 725th pizza restaurant? It's a major thing. I mean, there's competition. Capitalism is awesome because it makes it so easy to open a business and have your own business. But when seeking funding, this right here, this statistic, it's huge. Because there's a lot of competition out there. I mean, not that everybody's opening a pizza restaurant. That's why I kind of put it in air quotes there. But it really goes back to, what are the benefit statements that you can have in your products and services, and how are you different? How are you different? The second item in step 2 of what is then, now we're going to start your serious market research. And your market research, that's what's going to tie into everything else in your plan. It's going to, your first section you're going to write after this is going to be your industry overview. Then you're going to talk about your target market and your competition, your competitive advantages, and every number that you find in your market research will ultimately lead into developing your financial overview and your 3 to 5 year projections, because it all depends on what your market size is. It depends, are you a brick and mortar? Are you selling online? If you're selling online, are you selling to the West Coast? Are you selling to nationally, internationally? And then what are your shipping costs? Everything. So this is, still in the step 2, what it really is, you're researching. What's your general industry? What industry do you operate in? What's the market size of that industry? You can find statistics like this on statista.com. And you don't have to have a membership there to get a lot of their industry statistics. What niche of the industry are you in? So, I mean, in today's world, they say niches bring riches. What problem are you solving for a specific niche within the industry? So, I mean, there's the alcohol industry, but then craft brew came in and, and blew up in 2005, 2006, 2007, got even bigger. And that was a niche within the beer industry that clearly were billions and billions and billions of dollars, but nobody was tapping into it because nobody wanted to take on Budweiser and Coors and Anheuser-Busch and Miller. But once they did, that niche grew and grew and grew and grew. So, I mean, you really want to define the niche you're in the industry, because if you're just defining the general industry, only the general industry as a whole, you're doing yourself a disservice, and the investors will ask about that. You want to research, what is the market size? Is it growing, declining? What is your target market area? Kind of touched on some of these questions already. So I mean, I'll let you read these questions once you get the slide deck, but market research is massive, and that's going to form the base for everything going forward, because then the next section is industry and competition. Because once you've done enough research and you feel as if you can write about the industry as a whole, then you're going to write your industry overview, your target market, competitive environment, and competitive advantages. When you're writing about your competitive environment and competitive advantages, some of you may know of a SWOT analysis, SWOT. It's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is a good place to put that in your business plan if you want. You don't need to, but it's a good chart. It's just, draw a big box, divide it into 4 squares, and those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. And as you're doing your research, you use the SWOT analysis to show where you are based on the competition that you're researching. Next, we're going to go on to the how in writing your plan, because this will be your plan of operations. This is what a lot of banks and investors are going to jump to. And you really, in the most simplistic form, what will you do to get sales? How will you do it? What's your timeline for launch, your timeline for sales, and your growth goals? So in this section, I like to have a table with description of action, timeline, and what it's going to cost me. And that's a plan of operations for, I'm going to do this by this day, and it's going to cost this. And those costs we're going to use in the financial section for the startup costs and capitalization. So I hate to really trim this down and gloss over things, because this is a very important section, but a lot of this really relies on you and what your sales methods will be. It's very independent of each industry. If you're doing door-to-door flyers versus online digital marketing funnels on, Facebook ads, driving to a landing page, you have to describe all of that in your sales and marketing strategy, and then your growth strategy based on the costs and expected revenues of that sales and marketing strategy. So it's really, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's hard to put this into a slide and not do a 1-hour lecture on this alone. So if you do have questions, reach out to me. Just let me know. And also the book goes much deeper into this. But doing a 1-hour lecture and not diving into this or the financial section for an hour each, it's hard. So we're going to keep going onto the financial projections, because this is what investors and banks will jump to right after reading your executive summary. Your entire business plan is just theoretical and just words on a page until you put numbers to it and show a banker and investor, this is how we're going to do it, and this is the cash flow through the business based on our research of the market and our competition. So the first section of the financials will be your financial overview. And just like, I guess I haven't mentioned it yet, but just like the executive summary, you can't write this yet. You have to have everything else written. It's in the name, it's an overview. You can't write an overview or an executive summary until you've actually written everything else and written an overview or a summary of it. So the financial overview will be written once we have the startup expenses and capitalization, profit and loss statements, break-even analysis, and key assumptions written. And then it's super easy and fast to write your financial overview because you have all the numbers and you've written everything else out. So the first thing you're going to start with in your financial projections is your startup expenses and capitalization. And it's for you, it's tied to your industry, it's tied to your business. If I haven't told them enough, it's the title of the book. You make your business unique. It really is based on your business. So it's research of all the costs. Because if you're a brick and mortar, I don't know where you plan on renting space. You know where you want to be, where there's most foot traffic, or maybe it's warehouse space outside of town, and you need to research how much that rent costs. Or if you're going to buy a building, how much that building costs. And then what's the electricity going to cost on that building? And absolutely everything that you can think of that will cost you money, that's your startup expenses. And then your capitalization is basically what you're asking for in a loan or investment. And it means you want to pay for your startup expenses, obviously, but you also want to have at least a year of extra cash on hand to pay for the ongoing expenses that you'll explain in your profit and loss statements, because part of your profit and loss is going to be all your revenue, cost of goods sold, and then all your ongoing expenses. And then the very bottom line is your net income. So for capitalization, you want to have at least a year of funding of cash on hand in the bank in case if your business made $0, you could exist for 1 year without making a dollar. That's the capitalization you're asking for from a bank or from an investor. It doesn't always have to be a year if you're already an existing company and you're already showing income and profits. If you're showing profits, it doesn't have to be a year then, because most likely in that scenario, you're only asking for money to launch and grow something new. So you can just show them in your profit and loss statements, hey, I'm already making this much money, but I need an influx of cash to buy this thing. So let's take, for instance, a design build company, right? I have a client that they want to write a business plan to go out and get a $250,000 loan to buy a CNC router, because they've turned away so much business from people that want CNC routing. And so they can already show, hey, last year we turned away 100 prospective clients because we didn't have a CNC router. We'll turn them away, but we subcontracted out that work, and here's how much it costs us. So they can show in their profit and loss statements, their projected financials, that with this much cash, we buy this, we make this much more money. So it's not always about having a year on hand. The next part you're going to write is the profit and loss statement. And I already kind of touched on it. That's going to be your products, the revenue from your products and services, your cost of goods sold, your ongoing expenses, and then your net profit at the bottom. And you want to have minimum is 3 years. Most people don't ask for 5-year projections. Most ask for 3. But it just depends on who you're presenting to. And then the break-even analysis is that last actual numbers part of the financial projections. And that's going to be, you have to reverse engineer your first year of operations and how many products and services do you have to sell in order to make $0. So based on the costs and your revenue in, if it makes 0, how many do you have to sell? Because it really looks awesome to an investor in a bank if it's depending on your product and services. If you only have to sell one of something and you'll break even, yeah, it's pretty good investment for them, because they may think you're gonna sell one. If you have to sell 1 million of this thing right here in order to make $0, that might be a hard sell to an investor or a bank. So the lower that break-even number is, looks better for investors and banks. And then the last part, it's not a numbers part, it's the key assumptions. And question mark, question mark, question mark. Where did these numbers actually come from? Where did they come from anyway? That's all your research. Everything that you researched to come up with a startup expense or come up with an ongoing expense or the cost of your product or the manufacturing costs or how much a supplier is costing, all of that needs to be referenced with links in your questions and explained, I got this from this, I'm making this assumption based off of these numbers that I found here. From US Census Bureau, there are 34,000 people in this city, and so many of them are making this much money, and this is my target market, and if only 10% can purchase my product, I would sell this many and make this much. That's a key assumption. And that is massive for a bank and investor to look at it and say, okay, yeah, they did do their research. This isn't just astronomical claims in the profit and loss statement saying we're going to conquer the world, we're going to be the next Google and make billions. It all comes down to those key assumptions at the end. Finalizing your business plan. We've got a few minutes left. Stay with me, and I think I only have a couple more slides. Finalizing your business plan. Boom, executive summary. You're done with your plan. You've written your everything. Now you can go back and just easily write your executive summary, because it's going to be a paragraph about your current status. It's going to be a paragraph about or a sentence about your vision, and then it's going to be a paragraph about your plan of operations, a paragraph about your growth strategy, and a paragraph about your financial section. Boom. The whole plan is written, then the executive summary is easy. I really don't like it when a client comes to me and says, I just need an executive summary. Well, you need a business plan first. You can't write a summary of something unless you've written it first. And that's what I try and drill into clients. You'll have this. I'll just kind of briefly skim through this, because if you send me an email afterwards, I'll give you a copy of the book and this exact slide deck. But these are some awesome tips for when you're done with your business plan. Redline it, print it out, and use a red pen and redline it. It's a completely different document when you read it on paper versus scrolling through it on a screen. Number two, honestly, seriously, read it out loud. Totally different. When you see the commas and the semicolons and see how oh man, you'll see that when you read it out loud. And then always fix the red line edits before moving on to formatting. Because if you're eliminating a sentence, or if you're eliminating this or adding a section here, it's going to blow your whole formatting, and you've spent all this time, you're working toward this beautiful document, and you want to make those red line changes before you then go spend an hour formatting your document. So into formatting, I know everybody wants everything to look super pretty. I mean, I've got this really cool font here that I like, but use a basic font, because if you send it to somebody and they don't have that font, your entire editing and formatting is blown, because they don't have that font on their computer. So just use a super basic font, Arial or Times New Roman. Along those same lines, always send it as a PDF unless somebody asks for it differently, because one, you don't want them changing your business plan and having access to editing it, and two, when it goes, to the previous one, if they don't have that font, it's going to be completely blown. But if you do have it saved as a PDF, then everything's locked, and you don't have to worry about it. Some other things, if you are using a cool font, use it as a JPEG. Just actually make a JPEG or an image of it. Always resize your images so that there aren't like big empty blank spots on the page. And then whenever possible, try and do it. Keep all tables and graphs on one page, because it gets really confusing when half of your table is on another page. Sometimes you can't do it, but most times you can. Those are the editing, formatting. Sorry, I'm kind of rushing through this now. You're done. Boom. It is. You read your plan. Well, I don't think you wrote your plan while we were talking, but you've got the base, I think, and there's more help out there in the form of my book, and this slide deck will help you out. Dude, an hour and 1 minute. That's pretty good, huh? Well, I did kind of skim through those last ones. If you want the book, it'll be released in the next week or two. And today I'll send you the slide deck, but just shoot me an email. It's there, pete@petekremer.com. In the subject line, just say, send me your book. You don't have to say please, just say, send me your book. It's good enough. And so if anybody has any questions, wants to stay on. If you have specific questions relating to your business plan that you're writing right now, I know Elizabeth and Alfredo, and is it Jocelyn? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And Lawrence, we're all talking about business plans here. So if you have specific questions, I'll stay on for as long as necessary. And that's my hour, people. Thanks for joining.
Pete, thank you so much. What a wonderful presentation. I think a lot of really valuable information in there. We'll keep this link open, so if people want to keep chatting with Pete for a few more minutes, please feel free. I want to thank everyone for coming today and let you know that our next session will be coming up on November 12th, also a Thursday, 10 a.m. And at that point, we'll be diving into digital marketing. So that might complement this session nicely. We'll have links to register for that course on our website later today. Thank you again to Jeff and everybody at the Berkeley Public Library for your support on this. And Pete, if you want to take it away, we'll keep it open for about 10 more minutes if anyone wants to ask him questions. Please feel free to unmute yourselves and chat freely.
So I'd say
it's completely up to you if you want to type it into the chat box. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Yeah, Lawrence, go ahead, please.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you for putting this together, and thanks for this great presentation, Pete. Very helpful.
Anyway, Pete, this is Manjul Batra. 90% of small business go out of business within 3 years. What do you think is the reason for that, and how can we avoid that?
It's tough. I mean, that's obviously a different topic than actually writing the business plan, but
that's true.
From my perspective, it's because most people are like I had mentioned in those 4 truths. Most people are experts in exactly what they do, right? So if you've been an apprentice under an electrician for 10 years and then you decide to go out and become an electrician, that doesn't make you a good business owner. It makes you a good electrician, but not a good business owner. And so what happens, I feel, in our country specifically, is there isn't enough business coaching and knowledge for people. It's so easy to go start a business, so easy to start a business. I mean, go file your fictitious business name and get a business license in Alameda County, and you're ready to go. Depending on your industry, but you don't necessarily have that business know-how of how are you going to sell, how are you, and that's, I believe, most businesses go under. I mean, it's 20% in the first year and 90% in the first 3. You're right on that. It's a staggering number, but I feel with more business instruction, no matter what the industry, it would help greatly.
I think the business plan is needed more to once you've started a business, to move it forward. Because people start without any plan. And once they've reached this stage, they must realize that they need a plan to move it forward. So at what stage they need to know that they need to have a plan to move it forward, because otherwise that's how they stay 5-10 years and just disappear.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's very, very true. It goes back to the thing with so many small businesses in the US and entrepreneurs, they're wearing so many hats that a business plan is obviously is usually overlooked and just put to the side. Most people know, or at least have some idea that they need one or should at least have one, but a lot of times it comes down to the time. And hey, if you're spending 40 hours a week in your business, you can't be spending that much time on your business if you're spending all your time in the business.
Thank you. Well, how can you start a business with no money down? That's one of my topics always seems more lucrative.
It completely depends on the industry. I mean, that really depends on what your business is. If you're selling a hard good, you'd have to build it yourself and grow organically. But if you're like me and want to go out and start building websites or writing business plans, you basically launch a website, you get your business license, start a sole prop company or an LLC. And I mean, everything, no matter what in the US, especially California, it's going to cost something, but a few dollars. You know, you have to, if you're a brick and mortar, you can't start with no money down because you have to rent a shop unless somebody's giving you that shop space for free. But no matter what, you're going to have a business license, which costs money. If you're filing an LLC, that's going to be $90 with the state. So there's always a little bit of cost, not always. But if you're doing it legally, you have to be registered and have a business license so that you can accept money by the state of California. So, I mean, there's never zero cost, but there can be very low cost depending on your company, but it just completely depends. I mean, that's a huge can of worms for going back to the research. How can you do it cheapest? It just depends on the industry and the company itself.
Jocelyn, I think you wanted to say something. Jocelyn, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I wanted to kind of go back and I know that I'd written down art and postcard subscription service, and that's something that I'm starting with my sister, but I'm involved with a restaurant here in Berkeley, and what I wanted to ask about is, so we're working with basically kind of transitioning into post-COVID times. So we were on the way to like looking for a new location. And then also like looking into like other products that we can do or ways that we can transition and focus on a lot of the things that we've kind of adjusted to during quarantine. So there's like some new products or new services, so to speak, but there's also this, you know, looking for a new space. Are those two separate business plans, or like I mean, as small business people, you know, there's, like you said, there's very little time that we actually spend on our own businesses versus being in it. So I'm kind of wondering, how do we focus on, you know, like having our business plans as they are live documents? Like it kind of seems like business, and I'm friends of the owners, so I'm like pretty involved in what they're doing, but and they're the ones that actually, you know, recommended for me to jump in on this, but or participate in this. So, and I really appreciate it. It's really good information, but it kind of begs the question, like, okay, so we're working on this, we're working on the financials for, you know, a kind of a future new place, but also like we're like smack dab in the middle of like we've survived the quarantine, but now what do we do, and how can we, you know, integrate some of the things that we've been doing? And does that mean new products? Should we be looking like completely at like new actual products, since, you know, they're a brick and mortar restaurant, and so I'm kind of trying to figure out like, how do we focus on these different aspects? It seems like there's like at least two avenues that, you know, we're trying to plan for in the near future and the future. And are those two different business plans, or, you know?
I mean, well, like I was saying before, it depends on what the goal of the business plan is. If it's an internal roadmap that you're using internally for the company for more of a road to success, then it doesn't have to be two separate business plans. But if you're seeking funding for one or the other, then it may be, because it really depends on what you're pitching to an investor or a bank. Like if you discussed going out and getting a new restaurant space, that is probably a business plan in itself, where you just want to describe what you do now and how this new location would help you, how much money you need. So it goes back to my thing that a business plan exists for a specific time and a specific place. And then once that time has changed, you need to then go back to the life cycle and revise that business plan.
Right.
So it really depends on your goal of funding or internal roadmap. If it's for internal roadmap, then what I would do is kind of have a general plan of operations with milestone goals, and then a much more detailed plan of operations and operational milestones for each thing that you're talking about in the general plan. So,
Okay.
you know, if your growth strategy is new location and new products and services, I would have a very, very, very detailed roadmap of operational milestones for getting that new location, and then have another plan, operational milestones for launching these new products and services.
Right.
So it's not necessarily, you don't have to change all the management unless there's going to be different people managing products and
Right.
services, different people managing a different location. But if the head management team is the same, then that can stay the same. And if it's the same, overreaching company, the same LLC or the same S Corp or C Corp, then you can leave it as the same business plan. If it really is two separate businesses, then even as an internal roadmap, you should completely distinguish them and have two separate business plans. This is for
Right.
brick and mortar, the new location. This is for products and services. It just really, it depends. I think this kind of requires a deeper conversation on where you guys are at and
Right.
what you're thinking, where you're thinking of going, who's involved. If there are investors involved, that, hey, you don't want them, they're involved in the brick and mortar restaurant, but we want to launch this on our own. It's a deeper conversation at that point. But on the surface right now, I would say if all parts are the same and you're just thinking of doing something else, I would keep it as the same business plan and do two detailed operational milestones charts so that you can pull that out, benchmark, and say, this is what we need to do by this day to get this done. And then once this is done, we need to do this by this day. And so,
Right.
anyway.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Great. I think unless there's anything else, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Pete, thanks again so much. Everyone, please feel free to email
Thanks for having
him.
me. It was great.
Yeah, definitely. And make sure you reach out to Pete for those the slide deck. I'm sure that'll come in handy for all of you. And we look forward to seeing you next month for digital marketing. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Last question. Is everybody being sent the deck?
If you right here on this last slide, if you just shoot me an email that says send me your book, I'll send you the deck. Send you the deck today, and then I'll give you the book as soon as I release it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Beth.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.